Vincent the Chin Gigante, a name that loomed large in the annals of American crime history, was a character as enigmatic as he was feared. His story is one that reads like a script from a classic gangster film, with roots that stretch into the very fabric of the American underworld. Gigante's early environment played no small part in shaping his future. Born in 1928 to a watchmaker and his wife in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, Vincent was one of 5 sons. The Italian-American Gigante family lived in the kind of neighborhood where organized crime was not just a trope, but an element of everyday life. The rough-and-tumble streets of New York City in the early 20th century were fertile ground for a young man with ambition and few scruples about breaking the law. Like many mob figures, Gigante's descent into crime started early. He turned to petty thievery and small-time cons as a means of survival, and soon graduated to more serious offenses. As a teenager, Gigante found an outlet for his aggression in boxing, fighting in over 25 professional bouts under the nickname The Chin. Yet the ring was not to be the place where Gigante would make his name. The allure of easy money and power drew him away from sports and into La Cosa Nostra, the notorious Italian-American crime syndicate. It was within this clandestine organization that Gigante began his true ascent to infamy. He became an associate of the Genovese crime family, one of the 5 families that dominated organized crime activities in New York City and beyond. His initiation was a testament to the life he would lead, a life pledged in omertà, the code of silence. Vincent Gigante's rise to the apex of the Genovese crime family's hierarchy is a tale of shrewd maneuvering and ruthless ambition. He ascended to the role of boss in the 1980s, assuming control after previous leader Frank Thierry's death and outmaneuvering rival Anthony "Fat Tony" Salerno. Gigante's leadership marked a new era for the family, one characterized by a return to the shadows, in contrast to the flashy lifestyles of some of his contemporaries. Under Gigante's stewardship, the Genovese family operated with a heightened level of secrecy and sophistication. They were structured meticulously, with Gigante at the helm as a distant but omnipotent figure. The family engaged in a diverse portfolio of criminal enterprises, including but not limited to gambling, loan sharking, labor racketeering, and a variety of fraud schemes. Gigante's intelligence lay in his ability to delegate authority while maintaining an overarching presence, a strategy that kept the family's operations running smoothly and insulated him from the direct implication in its criminal activities. To the public, Vincent Gigante often appeared disheveled, wandering the streets near his Greenwich Village home in his pajamas, mumbling to himself. This carefully curated public persona was part of a decades-long ruse to convince law enforcement and the judicial system that he was unfit to stand trial due to mental incapacity. Gigante's odd-father guise as a feeble-minded man shielded him from suspicion and allowed him to manage family affairs without drawing the attention of the authorities. The rationale behind this facade was to erect a barrier between Gigante and his criminal undertakings, making it incredibly difficult for prosecutors to connect him to the family's illicit activities directly. The execution of this insanity defense was committed with great discipline, as Gigante checked into psychiatric hospitals and abstained from being seen in public as a coherent individual. This act was supported by medical professionals and family testimonies, creating a complex web of deceit that law enforcement would struggle to unravel. The legal battles to prosecute Gigante were as prolonged as they were challenging. Despite numerous indictments and close calls with the law, it wasn't until the late 1990s that the government was able to penetrate Gigante's facade. Key to their success was the testimonies from turncoat mobsters, wire-trapped conversations, and the persistent efforts of federal prosecutors. After years of evading the long arm of the law, in 1997 Gigante was finally convicted of racketeering and conspiracy to murder, signaling the end of an era for both him and the Genovese crime family. Following the conviction of Vincent Gigante, the once unassailable Genovese crime family found its power waning. The family, which had stood for decades as an emblem of organized crime's influence, began to show signs of vulnerability. The The fortress of secrecy Gigante had built around the family's operations started to crumble without its architect at the helm. Law enforcement agencies, bolstered by the success of Gigante's prosecution, continued to dismantle the empire he had overseen. The family's decline was precipitated not just by Gigante's incarceration, but also by a new era of aggressive federal pursuit of organized crime, marked by advanced surveillance techniques and the RICO Act, which made it easier to prosecute mob figures. Gigante's life in prison was markedly different from his years of power on the outside. Plagued by health issues, he was a far cry from the agile mind that had once led one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the United States. His health steadily deteriorated. He suffered from heart disease and other ailments typical for aging men, compounded by the stress and environment of his incarceration. On December 19, 2005, Vincent Gigante passed away at the United States Medical Center for Federal Prisoners in Springfield, Missouri. His death closed the chapter on a notorious figure whose actions had reverberated throughout the underworld and law enforcement communities for over 3 decades. The aftermath of Gigante's death rippled through his family and the broader network of the mob. For the Gigante family, it was a personal loss compounded by the public's enduring association of their name with organized crime. The Genovese crime family, while still operational, never fully recovered the extent of its former glory and influence. The family's power, once pervasive and extending into labor unions, legitimate businesses, and the political realm, was now fragmented. Other families and new criminal enterprises moved in to fill the vacuum, altering the landscape of organized crime in America. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the shadowy world of the Chin. If you found this exploration into the life of one of the most enigmatic crime figures intriguing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most compelling stories.